Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 24th episode of the Drive Podcast. We're back after a short hiatus due to practically nothing happening in Philadelphia. But yeah, we're back, as always, Jared, alongside Kyle. Kyle, how was your week off? Because mine was fantastic. I don't know, I did.
Oh yeah, I did absolutely nothing too. Because it's summer, we're both out of school, so we're just lazy bums.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, video games are a solid part of what I do,
true.
And then
video games are a staple of summer break. Just always gotta have.
Yes, pretty much. Just apologies if this podcast randomly cuts out. I may be in a tornado. We're fine though. I think I'll be good. I probably stick it out, but we're gonna be doing something. We're gonna be doing a rarity. And it'll probably be the start of a stretch on this podcast where we will be actually talking about the Eagles.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
This never happens here.
Yeah, never. No. We haven't talked about the Eagles since we did like the post-draft prospect thing and then like the other prospect one like a few weeks later. But still, we haven't talked to Eagles in a while. But their training camp has started, for quarterbacks, rookies, and some veterans. The rest of the veterans will report on Wednesday, which, when you're listening to this, is tomorrow, because this will be up on Tuesday. So, the veterans will be reporting on the 26th, and then the first full squad practice will be on the 27th. And I've seen a lot of reports, or as many as I would be inclined to look at, I guess. And there's a lot of there has been a good amount of reports coming out with Matt Collins. He's been apparently doing like really well. Shelton Gibson apparently looked like Nelson Aguilar out there, dropping a bunch of passes.
Carson Wentz threw a pick, so he's obviously a bust, and he's going to be awful. And the season's
horrendous. Yeah. Oh yeah. The best part is that there were Bears fans that were mocking that. So.
Bears fans are so salty that they traded up when they didn't need to for Mitch Trubisky. You traded up for a guy named Mitchell.
Lost Alshon. Yeah.
Bears fans are high key salty at the moment. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even though you have Butt Fumble and Mike Glennon. You can't talk about quarterbacks at the moment. Get yourself a legitimate quarterback and then we'll talk.
Yeah, especially with Mike Glennon, because don't get me wrong, Mike Glennon he's not a bad quarterback. It's just I don't see how he's worth
whatever his
$50
contract
million.
was.
Yeah, I don't see where the logic came in there when signing him, but they signed him anyway, and then they still went ahead, traded up, and got Trubisky at number 2 overall. So whatever. This isn't a Bears podcast. But yeah, they are the people who were bashing on that Alshon pick was it's it's training camp. Who cares? B, it was just to talk. It was legitimately either pass interference or illegal hands or something on the defensive back. Plus, the wide receiver is a practice squad wide receiver
who made no effort whatsoever to
made zero effort. So so pretty much that was a non-play. That was basically as little a fault to Wentz as possible. He made it was still a tough throw, but if in the case that he made it, nothing would have been said. But since it was picked off.
Well, and also, why did John Clark have to tweet it? What are you gaining from this? Oh, right, because it's John Clark and he just lives off of putting out quote unquote controversial shit like this, which it's training camp. I just don't even take any of this seriously up until preseason starts and games actually have some kind of resemblance to an actual NFL game. There's just no point in dissecting oh, this guy looks really good in training camp. Like, good for you. Like, it's training camp. No one's trying like 100%. It's practice. That's really like all it is. So
and generally I don't start taking training camp performances into account until you start seeing full squad practices, like toward the end of full squad practices at least, and then when they start getting together with other teams and running drills that way. Because when you start seeing other teams, like I know the Eagles have done it with, I think they did it with the Dolphins last year, and I know I'm pretty sure in the past they've done some with
I think the Ravens.
I want to say maybe the Panthers, the Ravens. Yeah, I've seen like other teams like that they've done like split squads. Yeah, pretty much split squads with where you'll see a couple fields. Like one field they'll be doing like offense, like the Panthers, or just for example the Eagles versus the Ravens. They'll be doing Ravens offense, Philly D, and then Philly offense, Ravens D on a different field. Like stuff like that. That's when I start kind of looking at it and saying, okay, he's able to take a defense that he doesn't know what they're going to do. Because when you see these practices and even the beginning of like full squad, like same team practices, like the quarterback is going to know what the defense is going to be doing most of the time.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. But once you start getting into against other teams, just like for a few practices at a time, you're not going to know what the defense is doing more often than not. So it's more of a challenge then. But still, I don't really start looking at it too seriously until preseason anyway. So
yeah, it's Philly though. Like the amount of fanfare over the first day of training camp is unmatched compared to any other city. Like Philly is just training camp starts. It's like nothing else matters. The Phillies could be like whatever, how many games,
100 and what?
Like have no losses, and it's still be like, well, training camp though.
Yep. But yeah, we'll just have to watch. It's a positive. Obviously, no one was hurt that I know of, at least.
Knock on wood.
Another Cowboys player is in trouble again, though, so that's no surprise. But another quick thing, I don't have it down because we're not going to talk much Eagles today because there's really nothing much to talk about until full squad practices. So we'll probably talk more about them next week. But I'm just seeing. I just saw this a little bit ago. Forgot to add it to our document. But the Eagles signed Adam Zaruba to a 3-year contract. I believe as a tight end. Yeah, he's 6'5", 265. He's gonna play tight end, and he is out of the. He's a rugby player. He's from Canada. And he got a tryout with the Eagles, and they signed him. So
well then, that's super.
So if this guy can, be probably pretty good, because you figure Ertz toward the end of last season really picked it up as
he typically does.
Our non-existent receiving corpse kind of took into effect, and Wentz had no one else to really throw to. Ertz stepped up pretty well. And then Selleck and Trey Burton, obviously they're pretty decent backups. Like, they're not, I would prefer those two over a lot of backups in the league. Now you figure with Zaruba, he's 6'5", 265. That's a pretty big dude. So hopefully he could provide, I doubt he'll probably do much pass catching, but more, run blocking and whatnot, and blocking. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting move, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, more depth the better, especially for a guy like Selleck, who, for as good as Brent Selleck is, he's obviously slowed down a bit over the past couple of years.
Yeah, he's on his way out a few years probably.
Yeah, they already reconstructed his contract so that way he makes less, so they could open up more possibilities. So yeah, you might as well. Trey Burton, who knows what you really have in him? He still hasn't played enough to where we really know what kind of ability he has. So yeah, might as well add that.
Yeah, plus Burton's a free agent after this season.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, but hopefully this guy could prove something. because yeah, like you said, the more depth, the better, obviously. And when you're adding a 6'5", 265 guy,
Yeah.
it's a pretty solid pickup, especially if you could turn into
And especially a
something.
tight end, because like tight ends wear down so quickly. Like you'll see a really good tight end for like 2 years, and then all of a sudden he just has no, like he's just dropped off the face of the earth the next year. So it's
Yeah.
tight end is a spot where you always kind of need someone there waiting, just in case something happens.
Yeah, pretty much. And then last thing for Eagles, on Bleeding Green Nation, obviously Brandon Lee Gowton. Man, I don't know how he put so many articles out, man. It's insane. But you gotta respect him. He does a pretty good job.
Does he post his opinion, Jared?
He does. Anyway, yeah. So he put out an article this morning, the 24th of July at 5 in the morning. So he was up pretty early, unless it was scheduled, which is a possibility. But anyway, he posted an article giving his predictions like early, obviously, about the starting offense and starting defense. Obviously, these are pretty subject to change because some guys could take leaps, some guys could get injured, whatnot. So at the moment, on offense, he obviously Wentz. He has LeGarrette Blount as the starting running back. The wide receivers, he has Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and Jordan Matthews. Tight end, Zach Ertz. Left tackle, Jason Peters. Left guard, Isaac Somolo. Center, Jason Kelsey. Right guard, Brandon Brooks. Right tackle, Lane Johnson. That's offense. And then defense, he has... Or actually, no, here. Let's talk about offense first. So any disagreements with what he has on offense?
Not really. I mean, you're just kind of stuck with Kelsey at this point. Like, I don't know really what else they're going to do. You just kind of have to hope that Kelsey comes back to what he did basically like 2 years ago. But, there's really nothing to even argue with it because, like, Alshon, Torrey, and Jordan are definitely going to be the three wide receivers. It's kind of interchangeable where they, like, position those guys because I think you could just kind of switch them around throughout the season because Jordan has played on the outside before, so it's not like putting Alshon in the slot sometimes and then putting Jordan on the outside would hurt them that much. But that's about as this like that's if the lineup looks anything different on like opening day, I'll be surprised. Like again, barring injury, it'll be surprising.
Yeah, I think the only change you might be able to make would be if they were to take Somolo, slide him to center because I believe he can play center.
Yeah, because he did last year.
And then slide in Alan Barber at guard. That would be the only thing that I could see. But even then, I don't know. I'm not sure they're ready to because Kelsey. Even though he hasn't been great, I mean, he made the Pro Bowl last year, so
which was a complete bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know how. Granted, it was because the top 2 or 3 guys declined it, and I think one of them was because they were in the. I think it was one of them was because the Falcons were in the Super Bowl, and then the other 2 I think declined or whatever. So then Kelsey got in, but yeah, that was kind of dumb. But I don't know. I still don't think that they're gonna kind of push him aside just yet. Kind of maybe give him some time, see if he could bounce back to what he was a few years ago. Because when he was at the top of his game, he was top 5 center in the league probably
easily. Like he was one of the best centers, like you said, in the game when he was like on his game, and because he's so mobile for a center, that like it's and his size is good enough that it can like he has such a great combo of size and speed, which is great for an offensive lineman. And he's going to be a guy that I think he's going to force the Eagles' hand. Like, the Eagles won't make the move themselves. Like, Kelsey will push himself out of that spot when, like, if that happens. Like, I think the Eagles will just ride with him until it's to the point where they realize, he's just not, he doesn't have it anymore. So it'll be up to him, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, Peters... those guys are basically locks at where they are. Peters at left tackle, Johnson at right tackle, Brooks at right guard. Then it's just pretty much as to Does Barber stick at left guard? Does Somolo stick at left guard and Kelsey stay at center, or does Barber stick at left guard and Somolo goes to center then? But yeah, we'll obviously have to we'll just have to see that play out. Everything else though, pretty much Wentz, Blunt, Jeffrey, Smith, Matthews, Ertz. That's going to be it. Like unless any of those guys suffer an injury, that's going to be it. The only one that I could see maybe changing is Jordan Matthews if Matt Collins keeps like doing what he's been doing in the limited practice times that they've had. But still, I think Jordan Matthews is going to take the third wide receiver spot there.
And like Brandon said in the article, like about with Blunt, like he said they're going to switch up the first team running back spot like all year basically. But he's like he said, he's probably going to get most of the carries, so it's kind of whatever at that point. Yeah,
there's really not going to be a starting running back on this team. Yeah, because you figure you have Blunt, you have Pumphrey, you have Sproles,
Smallwood. He's still there.
Yeah, Smallwood. Those four guys are probably all going to get, I wouldn't say a significant amount of reps because I don't think Pumphrey's going to get a ton of reps. He's going to get similar to what Sproles got last year, just reduced.
Probably going to cut it in half, and that's about what he's going to get.
Yeah, but like the other three guys, I could see getting a pretty decent amount of time, especially Smallwood, because I think they're kind of high on him. But yeah, we'll obviously have to wait and see. Then on defense, he has defensive ends Brandon Graham and Vinnie Curry, and then he has tackles as Fletcher Cox and Timmy Jernigan. His outside linebackers, Nigel Bradham and Michael Kendricks, and middle linebacker, Jordan Hicks, and then he has his cornerbacks as Jalen Mills and Patrick Robinson, and safeties as Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod. So, I think the only real debate here is does Derek Barnett beat out Vinnie Curry for defensive end? And I'm not sure because they might let Curry start and then they might let Curry start and then still split the time between the two. Or who knows, they might give Barnett the starts just to kind of build his confidence, but you never know. Obviously, that's pretty much like the biggest toss-up I think on defense. Other than that, I think pretty much
it's pretty set in stone. Other than that, and I mean with Curry, I think like you said, they'll probably just start him out there, and then it'll be up to Barnett to kind of earn his way into that. And like Curry's got to start performing. Like I know people are still kind of like high on him, and I get it. He showed like a lot of promise at points in like preseason and stuff and a few years ago, but he was god awful last year. Like he's got to step it up and prove that he belongs on the team. And I don't think that he's not going to be on the team long term anyway, because Barnett, you obviously hope is going to be your monster along with BG on the end. But he's the guy who I think that they kind of want to keep around just so that they can have like a solid backup for BG or Barnett or whoever. But it's going to be tough for Finney to keep this starting spot, assuming that this prediction comes true. Yeah.
And you still got to figure, obviously, they have Chris Long as a D-end, so they have to work him in. They have Marcus Smith, who they might give some time to, but he might not even be on the team, so that's the thing. And then at tackle, they also have Elijah Qualls. They have who also he has been looking pretty good in camp, and he also came out with a pretty confident quote, and he said that he wants to be better than Fletcher Cox. So,
well then,
I mean, good to have that confidence, I guess. And then also Bo Allen, who was just placed on the NFI earlier today, I believe, maybe yesterday. I think it was today though. And yeah, and then pretty much other than that, you have to figure at backup cornerback, or well, not backup, rotational cornerbacks and safeties. Aaron Grimes, Chris Maragos, Jalen Watkins, Ron Brooks, and then you figure Russell Douglas, and Sidney Jones if Jones is healthy. Obviously, he probably won't be ready for the beginning of the season, but it's possible that he could make an appearance during the regular season. Hopefully he can. Hopefully he gets healthy. But yeah, Russell Douglas, he should get a decent amount of time. Patrick Robinson right now is kind of the consensus starting cornerback along with Jalen Mills. But you never know. Who knows? Russell Douglas could come out in camp and against when they split squad against other teams and just light it up. So hopefully he does that, because I would like to see Douglas start, but probably at this point unlikely. Patrick Robinson probably will get the start, but yeah.
I'm just super pumped for Jalen Mills.
Then
like I just want to get that out of the way. Like I feel like a lot of people are like so they're not like down on him, but they're not as high as I think that they could be, and it's all because like I don't know, just because like he had some struggles last year, which like he's a rookie, like of course he's gonna have struggles, but like for a 7th round pick, like he played pretty damn well last year.
Yeah.
But
and especially because pretty much last year, other than Malcolm Jenkins and at times Rodney McLeod, that secondary was not that great. Yeah. So you figure he had Jenkins, but you figure if Mills was playing well, they more likely than not had Jenkins on the opposite side of the formation. So Mills wouldn't even have had Jenkins over the top as protection for him. So
yeah, and as much as I like McLeod, he was meh for basically all of last year. So
yeah, hopefully he could turn it around, but you don't know. So
we'll see. You never know with the Eagles. Like as much as we try to predict things, like it's football. It's probably the hardest sport to predict other than baseball.
Yep. And then obviously Donnie Jones, he'll be back again. Caleb Sturgis, John Dornbos. Sproles will be on punt returns. You might see Nelson Aguilar in there on a punt return, kick return maybe. But other than that, I mean, it's really there's really not much to talk about with the Eagles and who's going to be playing, because it's pretty straightforward. Aside from maybe 3, maybe 4 at the most position battles, but still, in those position battles, it's kind of, there's kind of like a clear-cut favorite in all of them. So we'll just have to watch, obviously, and see as the preseason rolls around, which it starts in a few weeks. I think in like a month or so it starts. So
it's soon. Football season's already back. Like again, it feels like we just had the Super Bowl, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so to move on, don't really have any Sixers or Flyers stuff to talk about, because anything that's been happening with them has been old news. Actually, just as like a quick Sixers side note, if you haven't seen the there's like a 20 or something like that minute documentary about JJ Redick and how he kind of came to the decision to sign with the Sixers. It's on the Undefeated, I believe, so go watch that. It's actually pretty good. It kind of shows like, how these decisions, like, even though sure, they're professional athletes and they're getting paid millions of dollars, like the decisions still they take time because of family reasons and all these different things. So
I'll try to remember to link it in the description, so it'll probably be there, but
don't but one way or the other, it's on the Undefeated. I'm sure it's probably still on like the front page or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can find it on Twitter too somewhere. So just type in like JJ Redick documentary or whatever. But it's pretty good. So anyway, moving on to the Phillies. They've been playing pretty well. They've been playing like April, the end of April, beginning of May Phillies. Which is, no, not really beginning of May. It's kind of just April.
Late April, basically.
They are, they are. They're 5-4. since the All-Star break, which is not bad. Obviously, it's above 500. They have won 2 series in a row, which is the first time they've done that since April.
So basically, April was the last time anything good happened for the Phillies up until now.
Pretty much, yeah. Except aside from that, like 5-game winning streak they had back in June. Yeah. Other than that, nothing has gone well for the Phillies since April. The offense has been doing pretty well. They have 50. These stats are, by the way, are coming into the 24th. They don't include the 24th. They're up until and including the 23rd. So anyway, 53 runs, which is 9th in the league as an offense. 22 doubles, which is tied for 5th. 293. They're batting 293 as a team, which is 6th in the MLB. They have a 371 team on base percentage, which is tied for 3rd, which is very good since the first half was pretty horrendous when it came to on base percentage. And the pitchers are still doing pretty well as well. Largely doing parts of Aaron Nola, but Vince Velasquez had a good start. Eichhoff hasn't looked too bad since he came off the DL. Hellickson has been okay in his last couple starts, save from his last one. But they have a 228 batting average against, which is tied for 6th in the league. And then they have 85 strikeouts, which is tied for 9th in the league. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully they can keep this up. Because I think, like, everybody doubted this team coming into the season. I was kind of optimistic about it, hoping they could play near 500. Like, obviously, I didn't think they were going to be above 500 because I believe my prediction for the season was like 77 and 85, I believe, somewhere around there, maybe 78 and 84, somewhere around there.
I think we even had the same prediction. Like it was pretty close.
Yeah, it was like right around there, like maybe like 10 games under 500 at the most. Obviously, that hasn't happened. They're still like 30 games under 500, and they're definitely not going to go 20 games over 500 the rest of the way. Unless something crazy happens, unless they call up like 4 prospects and they all just start raking.
Which, who knows, that might happen.
Or non-prospects, or non-prospects in that regard. Anyway, he might be a shortstop. Anyway, so hopefully they could, if they could just play like 5 or 10 games above 500 or even 500 the rest of the way, I'll be fine with it.
I mean, hey, the Giants have the same amount of losses as us, so I'm counting that as a win. Like, which I was completely surprised by. I went on like Baseball Reference's website today and I saw 62 losses for the Giants, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that they were this bad. All right then.
Yeah, the Giants are pretty horrendous. Like, for how many, like, because obviously they have Posey, they have Pence, they still have their Brandon Belt, who I think is doing pretty bad this year.
Well,
but obviously you got to figure into play Madison Bumgarner's dirt bike accident. So,
which did you see the one tweet that was at least Clayton Kershaw got hurt doing his job and not riding on a motorbike?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. The Giants. See, the thing is, it's an odd year, so this is why all these things are happening to the Giants.
Yeah. Because they're only good.
Exactly.
To talk a little bit about some of the players, a good amount of the players actually. So Nick Williams obviously has been playing extremely well since being called up. He's hitting .309 with a .347 on base percentage and a .603 slugging percentage. With 4 doubles, 2 triples, and 4 home runs since being called up, which was less than a month ago. So he's already has 10 extra base hits in less than a month, which is pretty good. 15 RBI as well. 14 of those have come after the All-Star break, which is 3rd in the MLB behind, I believe, Pedroia and Justin Schopp of the Orioles. He's been doing really well. Odubel Herrera, who literally had one bad month, and then everybody was already ready to give up on him. He has been on a tear since the All-Star break. He is hitting .412 with a 500 on base, .853 slug, and has 6 doubles and 3 home runs, 7 RBI, and a 6-5 walk to strikeout ratio since the All-Star break. So, and even if you don't think that that's a big enough of a sample size, he's still hitting 331, 372, 568, with 20 doubles, a triple, and 6 home runs since the beginning of June. So,
what we're trying to say is,
yeah,
Odubel Herrera is actually good.
He doesn't suck.
Like,
yeah, as little as everybody wants to believe it, because he takes a pitch off here and there, which I will say he can't do that as often as he does it, or has mental lapses on the base patch, which he hasn't had in at least a month, which is good, because obviously you can't be falling asleep on the bases. You learn that when you're 7 years old, but. Hey, as long as he's hitting, I could not care less if he took a pitch off here and there. I really couldn't.
Yeah.
And if you're going to value one pitch every game or every other game that he takes off, and he's hitting 412 over a 2-week period or 331 over a month and a half, 2-month period, then I don't know.
You're probably an old man who still thinks that baseball needs to be played with no emotion. And bat flips are horrendous. Which, by the way, his bat flip on the ground rule double is easily the best of the season. Like, that's...
Oh, yeah. It's up there.
He's gonna have to do a lot of work to top that.
Oh, yeah. And one of my favorite bat flips was when he bat flipped to the Marlins dugout on a walk.
Oh, yeah.
So, that one was pretty good. I mean, it was an accident. You could see as soon as he flipped it, you kind of... He knew it. But, But yeah, I mean, I also mentioned the... You can go.
But, because I was looking at, his numbers, the splits for the months. The month of... if you take out the month of May, it's so crazy, how much that affects his numbers. Because, May, he batted 183, had a 196 OBP, walked 1 time, struck out 30 times, slowed 257, had no home runs, 5 RBIs, 20 hits, and 109 at-bats. Every other month, 262 batting average for April/March, 340 OBP, and then June, 321, 351 OBP, 528 slug, 14 RBIs in June, and then obviously July, he's batting 349, 406 OBP. Guys, it was one bad month. Quit freaking. Everyone in May was bad. That's like saying, Sean Couturier was bad at some points last year. Everyone was bad. It's not...
Yeah.
You can't, make that distinction. This one guy is the reason that they lost. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and the saying goes all throughout baseball, throughout all levels, hitting is contagious. And when that lineup was not doing anything, it was average... Well, for the first month of the season, they were all right. They were averaging, I believe, about 5 runs a game, almost 4.5 runs a game. They were hitting well, and look what Odubel was doing. And then you see come May and beginning of June, pretty much just May, the offense was horrendous. Everything was horrendous about the team. They couldn't pitch, they couldn't hit, they couldn't close out games when they could pitch and hit. So it was literally just the perfect storm. But the wrong perfect storm, I guess you want to say. And then you look at, since the beginning of June, obviously the month of June wasn't the greatest as for team-wise, but you saw guys like Freddie Galvis, Aaron Altair, Nick Williams toward the end of the month, Andrew Knapp. Andrew Knapp has been pretty much the most consistent player this year. He hasn't really had any super highs or super lows. He's kind of just been average to slightly above average the whole season, which obviously is good going forward because he's hopefully going to be our backup catcher for the next next while, because I really like Andrew Knapp personally. But anyway, you saw guys like that starting to kind of heat up toward the beginning, the middle of June, and look what Odubel did. He started hitting, like Kyle said, he hit 320 or whatever it was, 321 in June. Now he's hitting 341 in July. And you see guys like Nick Williams, you see guys like Freddie Galvis, you see Mike Franco heating up, who we'll talk about in a couple minutes here. you see Aaron Altair still. You see, Cameron Rupp has kind of been swinging the bat a little bit better as of late, which I guess is good, but he's not going to be back next year anyway, hopefully.
He better not be.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will be. But I think he has to go because Alfaro, I believe, is if he doesn't come up next year, if he's not added to the 40-man, he would be a free agent because he, I believe, has been in the minors for 6 seasons now. So, because he was like 18 when he came in, now he's 24, I think.
True.
So, or maybe 23. I'm not sure. Maybe he was like 17 now 23, 18 now 24. One of the two, basically, something like that. But yeah, hopefully Rupp's gone anyway. But yeah, you see what guys like that started doing, and with Cesar Hernandez obviously coming back in the lineup, you see other people start doing this. So hitting's contagious is basically what my whole point there is. And yeah, he's looked a lot better. Like I said, 6 walks to 5 strikeouts since the All-Star break, which is pretty good for him. It's kind of the first stretch where he's had more walks than strikeouts since like the beginning of last season, where he was seemingly taking like 10 pitches per at bat, but obviously he didn't. But yeah, he's been really patient. I could count probably on a few hands, on both of my hands, since like June and July, like how many times he's been down in the count and has still came out with a hit, whether to the opposite way or whatever. One coming the other day when he poked a 1-2 pitch after fouling a 0-2 pitch off and taking a ball and then lining a single the opposite way. So, I mean, just positive signs coming out of Odubel Herrera right now, which is obviously really good since we haven't signed through 2023. So obviously you can't really give up on him because he's gonna be here a while.
And you brought up going the other way, and that just made me think of Nick Williams, because it's so great to see, like, basically all of his hasn't all of his home runs been the other way? Like, that's so...
I think so, yeah. Because I know at least 3 have.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure all of them have, but, like, I'm not gonna... Like, don't quote me on that. But it's so good to see out of a young player who has that type of power already that he can just go the other way with it. And, like, he's comfortable doing that. Like, that's something I haven't seen really since Ryan. And Ryan was notorious throughout the later parts of his career and not going the other way with it, so it's so good to see from Nick early on.
Yeah, all 4 of his home runs were opposite field. And just as a quick snippet, so I don't know if you saw this, but so when Nick Williams goes up the middle or to the opposite field, he has 4 doubles, 2 triples, and 4 home runs, which are all but they're literally all of his extra base hits. All of his extra base hits are up the middle or to the opposite field. But what's even more impressive is that he is hitting .538.
Sweet Jesus.
When going up the middle or on base. He's 21 for 39. So, yeah.
What we're trying to say is Nick Williams is already, like, really good. And people who were freaking out about him...
he looks legit.
Just, no. You were wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, Nick Williams is kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel when you're looking at guys like, obviously, J.P. Crawford, Jorge Alfaro, even Dylan Cousins, even though that's a whole different story. But, yeah, even... Because Nick Williams, he hasn't struck out a ridiculous amount of time since being called up. I don't even think he has, like, 20 strikeouts. I think he only has maybe 14 or 15
has
strikeouts.
17. Yep, his 4 walks, 17 Ks.
Yeah, and he's been up for almost a month now. He got called up on June 30th. It's now July 24th. So, yeah, I mean, he's been insanely impressive. I think he's gotten out to a better start than any of us could have imagined. And obviously, we just hope that, Crawford, Alfaro, Hoskins, Kingery, Cousins, hopefully can come up within the next year and do the same thing, because that would be great, obviously. So.
And yeah, like, and having Williams here, like, it gives you more of a reason to watch games. Like, if you're like, this season hasn't been fun, like, at all. Like, after April, it's just been misery to basically watch games. So seeing a guy like Williams, seeing Odubel, seeing Altair, seeing Nola, like it's just it gives you exactly at least a little bit of excitement watching games, even though you know the season's over, like already.
Yeah, yeah, like literally for like I'm so happy that they called Nick Williams up when they did, albeit because of injury, but I'm so glad that they called him up when they did because at that time the Phillies still weren't playing that well, and there really weren't many reasons to watch them aside from Aaron Nola and Aaron Altair, and that was it. Like that was literally it. Because obviously, Odubel would be your consistent bat, but then Altair would provide your pop, and that was pretty much it. And then Aaron Nola every 5 days, but
other than that,
yeah,
like it was pretty shitty to watch games. Like there was, man, like the occasional Ben Lively start. Pavetta, I think, was up a little bit before. Like, he was up for that, like, one earlier start, so it was kind of worth it to watch them, but, yeah. The point is, Nick Williams, Altair, Nola, Odubel, like, these are the reasons to watch the Phillies right now. And they're good reasons to watch, and another guy who, at this point, is hopefully becoming another reason to keep watching is Michael Franco. Been really good since the All-Star break. 333, 405, 528 slash line, 4 doubles.
And that's after 2 hitless games. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, just as a feel for just how good he's been, that even that, like, 2 offers doesn't, like, affect his stat line that much. He's got 5-4 walked K rate, homer, 7 RBIs, and he's just looking a lot better. And it's like the thing with Franco is he's like his numbers obviously aren't great for the entire season, but then when you like look at his walks and strikeouts, like he only has 51 strikeouts, which compared to last year, like that's really good compared to what the pace that he was on last year, where it seemed like he just struck out almost every time.
Yeah. But yeah, Franco, he's looked good. He's looked a lot more confident at the plate. I saw a few people I saw pointed it out, not only on the broadcast, but like on Twitter or whatever. His hands at the plate, he's not doing that thing where he like brings his bat like a foot in front of his face before the pitch. His hands are pretty much staying in the same spot. Obviously, he has to load up, so he has to move them a little bit, but for the most part, he's really staying back on the ball. He's not flailing. He's not doing any of those, step like almost on the plate and swinging a ball in the opposite batter's box because it's a curveball and you didn't pick it up until late. But yeah, really, it's kind of just been it's been nice to see him hit because he's been hitting rockets when he's been hitting balls. So like there was a ball I think in I forget if it was in the first game of this homestand or if it was in the last game of the road trip in what was it, Milwaukee or Miami or whatever. No, I think it was Milwaukee. But he hit a ball into the gap that looked like it would just be like a routine like single to like the right fielder, and it got to the wall because he hit it so hard. Like the kid is extremely talented, and if he just continues on this pace, he's not going to OBP at 405. That's just not who he is. And he's not going to have higher walks than strikeouts. But if he could hit 300 and OBP at like 350, 360, and provide pop and walk a little bit, I don't see any reason why we should get rid of him. Especially because he's only 20. I don't think he's 24 years old. He's 23 years old. So, yeah. So another reason to watch. Really good reason to watch Aaron Nola. He has been insanely good in his last 6 starts, dating back to June 22nd against St. Louis. So, like I said, 6 starts. He has 42 1/3 innings, which averages to about 7 innings a start. He has gone 8, I believe, once, maybe twice, and then the rest have been either 6 or 7. He has given up 29 hits, only 8 runs, and then has 13 walks, 50 strikeouts, a 1.70 ERA, and a .190 batting average against, which is insane. And in that time period, he has lowered his ERA from a 4.76 down to a 3.38. So, yeah, he's been looking really good. Obviously, when he came back from the DL, you could kind of see it more now because he's starting to implement it a little bit more. He's starting to become a little bit more comfortable with it. But you could see a little hitch in his motion where he's using his legs more, and that not only helps him take the pressure off his arm, but it also kind of throws the timing off the hitter a little bit. Because if you've seen him before and you're not used to that hitch, then you're thinking, okay, a half second quicker is the ball is going to be coming in, but it's really a half second later, and you're kind of guessing more. So it's working out in two ways. It's taking pressure off him, and it's throwing hitters off balance. So if he can keep it up, he's literally on the number 2 starter, borderline ace level that we need him to be.
And I forget where I heard it from. I think it was like an in-game report or something from like Greg Murphy, but he mentioned that like apparently like after Nola starts or whatever, he would always feel really sore after it, but then after he changed it, like you said, with the with like the hitch or whatever, and like he's using his legs more, he hasn't had that type of pain. So hopefully this means he can keep his durability up, and we get to see him pitch like an ace for longer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be obviously the main. That would be the goal, pretty much. And if he could do that, we have our number 2 for the future, hopefully, because then once we start getting back into contention, we could either obviously sign a guy, we could trade for a guy, or
Sixto Sanchez.
If it takes that long, Sixto Sanchez, who I just ordered a T-shirt for, by the way.
Nice. Very smart purchase.
T-shirt. Oh yeah, very.
By the way,
I
he
also got a
tonight.
Hezzy pull-up Jimbo shirt. Does he?
Yep. And apparently it's on
That's good.
NILB TV, so I might have to get that. I might have to buy that tonight and just watch Sixto.
literally just like spend like $13 just to watch like one Sixto. So yeah,
worth it.
But yeah, Jared Eichhoff. Or we'll just to finish up on Nola. Yeah, if he keeps it going like this, we have our number 2, because then we could go out, either trade for a 1, sign a 1, or like Kyle said, wait for Sixto, wait for Killamay, wait for Seranthony Dominguez, wait for Adonis Medina, who Medina's more of a 2, so is Dominguez, and so is Killamay, but Sixto has like ace potential. So yeah, another guy, Jared Eichhoff. He's been okay since he returned from the DL. He's had 2 good starts and then 1, iffy start. So he has logged 17 innings, so just under 6 a game. 14 hits, 7 runs, 7 walks, 22 strikeouts, 3.71 ERA, and a pretty promising 226 batting average against. So the batting average against is pretty good. The strikeouts are really good. He's pretty much on pace with Nola almost, because Nola, you figure 6 starts, 50 strikeouts. Eichhoff 3 starts, 22. So you figure you double that, get it to 6 starts, and you got about 44 strikeouts over that time period. And really, Eichhoff's only problem is pitching himself into a good amount of 3-ball counts. He's pitched himself into way too many 3-ball counts. Somehow still gets through like 6 innings per game, so I don't know how he does it. And has a respectable 3.71 ERA since being activated. So I don't know. I really don't, because if he could keep his strikeout stuff and his command like we saw it last year, he's gonna be like a back end guy for a lot of years, because he's gonna throw a decent amount of pitches, but he's only gonna go 6, maybe 7 innings on a good night. So, and that's really what you want from a back end guy, just an innings eater kind of. So,
and if you have a good bullpen, who cares?
Hopefully he can keep going. Yeah, hopefully he can keep it going, because we have a lot of potential back end starters who would probably like that job. But I like Eichhoff. I really do. He has a decent fastball. He throws about 91. And he has a he has good secondary stuff. So when he's on, at least when he's on, when he has good command, he has good stuff. So I really hope, because for him to be like a back end like 4 or 5 starter and kind of just eat innings, I would be ecstatic with that. So
absolutely, that's and then assuming Alfaro turns into what we hope to be, that's a perfectly. And then obviously Nick Williams, we hope that he continues to keep playing like this. That's like a perfect return for Hamels. Like that's such a good return.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Pretty much. And then Aaron Altair obviously DL'd on the 15th of July. Or, well, he was DL'd on the 17th, but it was retroactive to the 15th, which means he's eligible to come off the DL on the 25th, so the day this comes out. And so it was kind of a weird thing. It was kind of a Sixers-esque injury situation here. So when he originally went down, it was kind of just like a day-to-day thing. Then he got DL'd 2 days after sustaining the injury. And then a few days later, or like a day later, it was kind of just, okay, he should be back when he's eligible to return. But then a couple days after that, it was reported that he was going to be out until like mid-August almost. So then it was like, okay, well, we've been through this too many times with the Sixers. But now Matt Breen of the Inquirer has reported that he expects to be back within the next few days. So he said he's not going to be activated on Tuesday the 25th, but probably by Friday, I would assume, given that maybe they'll put him on a rehab just to make sure. But yeah. So, and then the outfield situation when he does come back, given that he does come back before the All-Star break, which probably will happen. You figure they have Nick Williams, they have Odubel Herrera, they have Howie Kendrick, and they have Aaron Altair, all of whom need playing time. So how do you think, Kyle, they should go about the outfield situation when Altair returns?
I mean, I don't think that you can afford to have Altair not playing. Like, that's... I know that we need to get, like, Howie playing time so that we can trade him, obviously, because there's... I don't... As much as I like Howie, like, this isn't anything personal against him, but, like, he needs to be off this team after the deadline. Like, at this point, with how he's played, like, I feel like there's enough there that some team is going to be like, yeah, we'll take him. Like, he's batting at .353, has an OBP of .403. I know it's only 36 games, but still. Like, he's a guy who can play everywhere. Yeah. You know what you're getting out of Howie Kendrick. So... I just think that, especially with Nick Williams up and him performing pretty well, Altair raking when healthy, Odubel's resurgence, like, I just don't think that you can afford to have Williams and Altair not, like, basically starting. So I would like to see them, I guess, just kind of give Howie maybe like a 5-game stretch where he can hopefully just tear it up in those 5 games, and some teams will be all over it and make an offer. At this point, I think you just kind of take whatever you can get for him, because does it really matter? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
I think, so, like, my kind of thing with it is, that's why I'm kind of hoping that they give Altair, like, a game or 2 rehab, because if you figure he's set to return off the DL on, say, just for example, the 27th, right? They send him on a rehab with either Reading or Lehigh Valley on the 27th, 28th, and maybe return on the 29th, which is 2 days before the deadline, because the deadline is July 31st. So if you figure he returns the 28th/29th and has, they have that 4-man outfield that they need to figure out for those few days, assuming Howie Kendrick is traded, then what I probably do is I probably just play Howie every day and give one night off a piece for Odubel, Altair, maybe Williams, maybe even Cesar, slide Howie in at second.
Oh, yeah, true.
But, yeah, and another thing that I did see is that assuming Altair comes back I mean, if they don't rehab him and he comes back on the 26th or the 27th or whatever, to rotate him, to rotate Howie Kendrick, play Howie every day and give a day off per game for Cesar, Williams, Odubel, and Altair, and just rotate him through the outfield and second base.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a pretty easy kind of situation to go about. Like, a lot of people are kind of overreacting, saying, "Oh, we shouldn't play Howie because we need to give Williams and Altair and Odubel." It's like half a week. So
yeah, like
I think it'll be fine.
Like you said, they just got to give him like a good, however many game stretch where he can just kind of show what he's worth to people before the trade deadline. And speaking of the deadline, there was a tweet from Mark Feinsand of crap. Let me find out what he's. But he said that the market for Pat Neshek is heating up. He's an executive reporter for MLB.com. So hopefully this means that Neshek is going to be dealt soon. Apparently the Nationals, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox are the front runners basically for him. So hopefully Neshek and Kendrick are not on the team past July 31st.
Yeah, and when it comes to trade deadline, just talk about that a little bit. I wouldn't be overly shocked if the only two guys that were dealt were Kendrick and Neshek. If anybody comes knocking on the door and says, "Hey, what will you do for Joaquin Benoit?" I'd be like, "Give me like a half-eaten piece of pizza at this point. Like literally just get him.
Just give me the crust,
here so we can
just give me the crust of the
literally,
pizza."
Yes, I'm fine. Yeah, give me like a Domino's pizza crust because that shit's fire. But anyway, because if you figure if Neshek and Benoit are gone, those are 2-year vets. So at that point, you'd probably call up maybe Venditti from AAA. I'm sure Jezentarian, I believe is how you pronounce it, who is in AAA. He'd probably get a call up.
Adubre Ramos.
They probably wouldn't call up. Yeah, Ramos. That's right. I forgot he was down there. So you got to figure of those 3 guys, probably pick 2, leave the other one down. Actually, now that you're saying it, yeah, probably Ramos would probably get his call back, and then it would be between Tarian and Venditti as the other spot. So yeah, so that there, and then Hellickson. I don't know. I don't know if he'll get traded or not. I'm kind of in the same boat with him as I am with Benoit. Just whatever you can get. If you can get anything for him, just get it.
Yeah.
Even if you have to eat his salary, just eat his salary.
Who cares?
I would much rather see the rest of the season started by Lively, Eflin, even Thompson, maybe a few starts here and there. Doubt it though because he's kind of struggling, but it's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I really wouldn't be too surprised if Neshek and Kendrick were the only 2 traded. Tommy Joseph, very little chance to be traded right now. So, yeah. But that's that. We'll be doing a whole trade deadline thing next week. So, you could watch out for that. But to wrap up Phillies and their horrendous prospect farm system, we have non-prospect J.P. Crawford here. Who has been, he's been decent as of late. So since returning from a groin injury in which he didn't go on the DL for, but he was out for about I think 8 or 9 games between June 11th and June 20th. He returned on the 20th. Since coming back, he is hitting .287 with a .374 on base and a .574 slugging percentage. 7 doubles, 4 triples, 6 home runs, a 16-20 walk to strikeout ratio, 16 walks, 20 strikeouts. And before you say, "Oh, small sample size," it's 131 plate appearances, so that's plenty. But he still sucks, so don't listen to me.
Listen to Baseball
listen
America.
To everybody else. Yeah, listen to everybody else who says he sucks and can't hit because he's clearly an aged veteran at the ripe old age of 22, so he sucks. So get that. But anyway, since then, and we all know, obviously how difficult it is to raise your numbers, pretty much June and beyond. He has gone from a 194 batting average to a 227 batting average, a 313 on base to a 334 on base, which I still don't know how he's on base, OBPing at 334, which is crazy, given how much he's struggled this year. And he's gone from a 252 slug to a 368 slug, and his OPS has risen from a 565 to a 702. So obviously, he's turned around a lot, and that's crazy good because, for obvious reasons, he's been our top prospect consensus for the last few seasons, and he's pretty much done it at every level except the high minors, and now he's doing it. So it's really, really obviously encouraging to see that, and hopefully he gets some time at the end of this season. But it's possible. So it's possible that he won't, because Lehigh Valley might make a deep run and they might not want to overwork him and other prospects. So obviously we'll have to see, but liking what I'm seeing out of JP Carl.
And don't you just love the people that are still like, Freddie Galvis could be the long term shortstop of this team. Like,
I mean, I'm not like not to dock Freddie, but it would be tough for that to happen because he doesn't get on base a lot. He doesn't hit for a good average. I mean, look, his on base is I think he has a lower on base. Let me look it up.
He has a 303 OBP, but is batting 253. So he's batting 30 points higher than JP, but has 30 points less OBP.
30 lower. Yeah, which is insane because you figure JP has struggled
more than Freddie has. Clearly.
Yeah, a lot. JP struggled since he got to AAA last season.
Yeah.
And so now you figure this, and it's crazy that JP is OBPing that high. And not to dock Freddie, because he has sneaky power, he has sneaky speed, he's only been caught stealing once, he has 6 stolen bases. His walks have improved. He already matched his walk total from last year in about 62 less games.
Elite defense.
So, yeah, elite defense. Hopefully, I hope he gets a Gold Glove sometime. He's got to get it this year because if he doesn't, then he's going to run out of time because I don't see him starting for this team. He might get a starting job for somebody else, but you got to figure they probably don't have a good shortstop, so then that means that they're not going to be that great of a team. But yeah, sneaky power. He's slugging his career high this year, 423. He has 11 home runs. He's 20 doubles. He's on pace to break his double his career high in doubles, which is 26. He already has 4 triples, which if he gets one more, he ties his career high. Yeah, his average is right around his career mark. His career mark is at 244, and he's at 253 right now. So, I mean, if he could, honestly, if he could just kind of stay around that mark, hit 10 home runs off the bench and play crazy good defense when he comes in, I would love to keep him around as the utility man because he could play second, he could play third, he could play short, obviously. But I'm not sure if he'd be willing to do that because there would probably be starting opportunities for him elsewhere. But I'm sure that he realizes how promising the future is with all the, obviously all the prospects coming up relatively soon, and with all of the financial capabilities of this team. So I hope truly do that he realizes that, and that he'd be willing to stick around for the next few years or the years to come as a utility man. But if he didn't, I would totally understand it because
I wouldn't.
You want to play more. So
yeah, and obviously he's gonna want to get paid too. I don't blame him for that. You hope that he stays around, and I mean the Phillies have pretty deep pockets. It's not like they're gonna be short on change to pay him whatever he would want. It's just do you really want to pay him that much and for the term that he's probably gonna want? But Yeah, I would definitely love to keep him around.
Oh, absolutely. And, he's just a guy that, he's 27 now. He's been in the league since 2012. Albeit this is really only his third, full season because he was kind of back and forth until he was 24 years old. But, yeah, he's stuck ever since the end of 2014. And now he's full-time shortstop. He hasn't missed a game this year. So that's great. Obviously, durability isn't too big of an issue. He's only missed, He missed 4 games last year and 11 the year before. So that's obviously durability, big thing there for a backup / utility man.
You hope that he basically becomes Andres Blanco. That's...
Yeah, pretty much. Andres Blanco in his prime is what you want Freddie to be. And I think he could be better than him just because Blanco didn't really have much power while Freddie has, that sneaky power, sneaky speed, elite defense, like we said. And then when JP's here and when either Cesar sticks around or when Kingery's here, and when Franco either sticks or we go into free agency to solve our third base thingamajig, he'll be able to play all 3. Maybe once, twice a week, giving guys off, come into a late game defensive situation. So, yeah, I hope he stays around, but like I said, I would understand if he didn't. So,
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that really wraps it up for our regular talk. Like I said, we'll be having we're thinking of doing a two podcast episode next week to kind of make up for last week's miss. But we weren't really planning on missing last week until the day that we were gonna record. But then we kind of figured, okay, well, we could do a two episode week next week, given that the trade deadline is the day that we're gonna post this, or the day that we're gonna post next week's. So we could probably do something that day and then post it the next day or later in the day, so whatever. But yeah, so we're not fully decided on it, but that's what we think we're gonna do. So yeah. As for my, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll try to keep you updated on Twitter and everything. We'll try to at least.
Yeah, we'll try. And as for my hot take this week, I'm just gonna keep it real short, real sweet, to the point. Sean Couturier is a good hockey player, okay?
This is my favorite hot take since we've done this. Favorite ones yet.
Man.
Yeah.
If you haven't been in the Flyers Twitterverse as of late, you haven't seen the debate over whether Sean Couturier is a viable second-line center or whether he is hot garbage. So
it all started with that Bill Meltzer article. It all started with that. And then people...
Yep.
Yeah. Flyers Twitter during the off-season, it's not an ideal place to be, but you have to call out the dummies occasionally.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can go look up the stats if you want, because I've seen way too many of them. So, yeah.
The chart will be... the chart that I like to use will be in the video. It'll be, right now.
Okay.
Right now. Just put it over the screen.
Yep.
It's there.
So, yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. Like I said, watch for the 2-week episode next week, or watch for the 2-episode week next week. We'll definitely be getting at least one up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, unless you got something else you would like to speak about, that's pretty much gonna do it.
Yep, that's everything. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll let Jared take us out.
All right. So yeah, like Kyle said, thank you for listening. As usual, yeah, go Phillies, go Eagles, go Flyers, go Sixers. But Sean Couturier, remember, is good at hockey, in fact. So, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.